Boom, baby. We are live. Welcome to Interview with the Man, episode 271, where I am joined by a good friend of mine. I would consider a mentor and a guy who has been helping a lot of men behind the scenes with, quite honestly, one of the biggest things at the Red Pill. And nobody in this dating sphere, nobody's really talking about this, and that is healing trauma that's in our lives that has happened particularly in your childhood, and how this manifests into bad inner game. We're going to have a very deep conversation today, guys. This is Ryan from InnerMasculine.com.
Hi, guys.
And welcome, Ryan. How are you?
I'm doing good. I just, I'm trying to avoid this light here. See that? But I'm doing great.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's great to have you on the show here. Well, I think you're the one that can really sum up what you really do in a sense better than I can. And guys, just so you know, real quick before he makes the explanation, this is another general in the Hot Dude Army who has been featured and helping guys behind the scenes with me since 2019. We decided to come forward and open this service and really reach out to the guys that need it. He has been helping everybody in body language mastery since Q2 last year. Over 40 men helped, life-changing results. And Ryan, why don't you just take it away there, boss?
Yeah, so what I do is hypnotherapy, but I think you should really think of it as just trauma clearing, subconscious reprogramming. I first did it on myself around 7-8 years ago. And I used to have, do you want me to tell my life story? Does it matter?
I think we should just dive right into it.
All right, let's dive deep. So I was raised in a pretty dysfunctional home. Mom, full-blown narcissistic personality disorder. And so because of that, I had manic depression. It was actually diagnosed extreme depression, mild manias. And, you know, I did the normal psychotherapy and all that. I probably did about 100 sessions of that over like 15 years to deal with this depression. And it did help, but there was always just a huge chunk of the depression it just wouldn't touch. So about 7-8 years ago, I came across this program that within, I don't know, a couple months completely eliminated all my depression. Just totally wiped it out. It replaced 7-8 years ago. I had I wasn't in the pits of hell like I was in college, but my life just kind of sucked. There was like this low level depression, low level hopelessness. And I wasn't doing bad. You know, I had a job that paid pretty good, above average. You know, drove a nice car, lived with my brother, had some friends, you know, had a few dates here and there, but it's just kind of, oh, this is as good as it's going to get. My life just kind of sucks. Just kind of low level hopelessness. And there was some anger. There was some bitterness. I had, excuse me, I still had bitterness about my upbringing every day because I had some programs put in me subconsciously where I just felt like crap. That's where all this stuff was coming from. If anyone knows anything about narcissistic personality disorder, the people who have it will make those closest to them feel worthless. And it's just constant psychological manipulation, constant criticism, constant just whatever, you know. They would use the craziest, I mean, you guys have heard of gaslighting, I'm sure. If not, look it up. Just the craziest psychological tricks to make you feel like crap. And my mom was a, you know, covert narcissist. They're especially insidious. They do it. They abuse you in a way so you don't even realize they're abusing you. They're covert about it. So all psychological, you know, warfare. So yeah, by college, really bad manic depression. Some of it got better, but this program I listened to was just audio tapes, and it was a lady speaking and guiding me through some visualizations, having me go back to my childhood, having me find trauma in my childhood, ramp it up, think about these memories, ramp it up and send it away. And it actually worked. And I even remember after the third time I listened to this audio, actually, I'll tell you the second time I listened to this audio. First time it didn't really work. I didn't really get or understand it. Second time I was listening to it, I was sleepy. So I was kind of nodding in and out of consciousness. And when I nodded out of consciousness, one of the times while I was listening to this program, I looked over and I'd actually typed a text out to myself on my phone. Like I typed a text and didn't send. And it said, "When can we meet?" And I was just like, what the hell did I just do? And there was a forum I could go on to where other people were using this program. You can ask them questions. And so I went online and said, well, what does this mean? And someone said, well, look, man, it sounds to me like that's your inner child you've been running away from, saying, when the hell are we going to link up? When are you going to finally come back to me? And it was true. That's what was going on. And like so many men, we get this shame deep down inside of us. We don't know what to do with it. We don't, we're told in society and, by parents that, the APA, American Psychological Association, now they have a statement that traditional, not just toxic masculinity, traditional masculinity is harmful. That's mainstream now. And that's our society just kind of shits all over men. So we have this, kind of low-level shame, and it makes us zone out from this pain inside of us. And that's our inner child. All these subconscious programs get formed when we're kids. All these beliefs about, well, who am I? What's the world around me like? What are men like? What are women like? What are other people like? How do I survive? That all forms in our childhood. And so that's why we call it the inner child, because that's the origin of all these subconscious programs in us that we don't even realize are running our life. And so if we have this low level pain, we don't know what to do with it. We don't know how to heal it. So what do? Well, we zone it out. We numb it out. There's addictions, alcohol, just zoning out on TV, just,
drugs.
Video games, drugs, whatever. I mean, you name it. People can become rageaholics because, I had this deep sense of injustice being wrought upon me, because it was true. I was treated horrible as a child. Still had that bitterness with me every day, but I didn't know how to deal with it. So I ran away from it. I'd be numbing it out, So came across this program. The third audio I listened to, time I listened to this, I remember to this day, 7-8 years ago, normally if something really good happened, it would make me happy for a bit. Well, that was great. But my normal is just kind of a little low level, meh, blah, not feeling very good depression. Not super intense, but not happy. And I remember I was walking out of my house and I was walking up some steps and I just had this little bright spot inside of me. I just felt it like right here, really intense, little tiny bright spot inside of me for no reason at all. Nothing good had happened that day. And that was so foreign to me, just to feel happy when nothing good happened or anything, but just to feel happy. And I can remember it vividly in my mind now, first time feeling that inside of me and just being like, what the hell is happening to me? Oh my goodness. I think this stuff I'm using, I think it's working. Yeah. And then by the time I'd listened to it 10 times, completely different person, hopeful, happy, feeling good. I started cleaning my house more. Within a year, my income almost doubled, and continues being pretty high to this day. Mm-hmm. So I didn't even know it was a type of hypnotherapy. I just thought it was some sort of energy healing program. Mm-hmm. But that's what it really was. A few years later, I found out it is hypnotherapy. And, my day job, a lot of guys, my friends kind of, joke that they're envious of my job because I work out of my home. Yeah. I've moved to Texas because I was tired of the winter in Utah. Utah's nice, but I have a sports car. I don't like not driving it around in the winter. Mm-hmm. So I can move anywhere I want. I moved to Texas because I wanted to. This is early for me. I'm getting up like 2 hours earlier than usual because I'm used to sleeping in. It doesn't mean I don't work hard, but it's a good job that I have. But I got to tell you, I was starting to get some dissatisfaction. It's like, is this all I'm doing, working for money? What more is there out there? When I found out that hypnotherapy is what this lady was doing, I took training. I got a certification. It's like, man, this is where I'm going to find some fulfillment in my life, because this has been so amazingly helpful. And I searched for decades. I mean, I tried all the different medications. I tried, different types of therapy. I went to probably, I don't know, over the years, 10 or 12 shrinks, psychiatrists, all that crap. Because my depression was really bad. Almost flunked out of school, out of college because of it, the medications and whatnot. And when I found this, just magnitudes more powerful, just exponentially more powerful than anything else. So I started doing it for others. And I found out when I do live sessions, it's actually magnitudes more powerful than the audios, just listening to a recorded version. The recorded versions are very effective and are very helpful, but they can't help but be a little more generic, even though they're asking, when I listen to the audios, they ask me to think about childhood stuff. When I do live sessions for men, I really hammer into it. I really dive deep. And most of the time, my goal is always, when I do sessions with the guy, my goal is always substantial permanent benefit in one session where it's going to blow their mind. They're going to feel it. Most of the time I accomplish that. I won't say 100%. There are some guys that really struggle with being dissociated, especially if a guy comes to me and I could just tell his energy. It's almost a little robotic in his voice. There's like no emotion there. And it's like, okay, this guy, I'm going to need to work on more, because for some of us, the pain is so bad, we just disconnect.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about the subconscious mind, because I mean, I know some people might say that this seems like woo woo or new
My
agey.
client.
Well, no,
They
I
say
know.
it at the beginning.
Yeah, no, I
Not
just
after
mean
the session.
to people who may be new to this type of thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I just want to say that, like, everybody, I mean, some of you guys may know, some of you guys may not know, but like, I endured a pretty rough upbringing from about age 8 to about age 14, 15,
Yeah.
from an emotional abuse and physical abuse. And I was raised in a very like a chaotic single mother household.
Oh, yeah.
And my aunt was a pretty big, what would you say she was, a narcissistic abuser? Or?
She had some narcissism, or so, borderline personality, narcissist. A lot of the behavior is the same. There are some fine differences, but their motivations are different. Behavior is pretty similar. I'd say she was more narcissist.
And I grew up in the Pentecostal church, so
Yeah.
everything was the devil. I was the devil.
Same here. Religious.
Pokemon cards were the devil. Resident Evil, the name Resident Evil was the devil because it had evil in the name. Street Fighter was the devil because there were Buddha statues in the background. Everything was the devil, and I was a bad sinner boy, and if I didn't repent, I was going to go to hell. And I just need to constantly be like this. Basically, I was just like this emotional punching bag as a child.
Yeah.
Like this narcissistic, insane woman that I now look upon with, quite honestly, pity. But
that's how I look at my mom. And from what you told me, there are a lot of similarities between what she did and my mom. Yeah.
And so, I was able to escape that, quite honestly, just based on pure determination to succeed. I'm a statistical anomaly, but a lot of guys, I talked to some guys, I talked to one guy recently. He says, I feel like I'm a Falcon 9 rocket on the launch pad, but I'm strapped down and I can't do it. Like there's a certain part of inner game that you guys don't realize, that if you don't change your subconscious beliefs about yourself, outside forces of gym, discipline, of exercise, studying game, being Patreon to every red pill creator, like, knowing game in and out, reading all Robert Greene's book, whatever. If you don't have your subconscious internal mental beliefs sorted out, nothing you can do on the outside is going to fix it. However, on the flip side of that is if you have your mind right and you have a healthy self-esteem and a healthy belief system, nothing on the outside can stop you. And actually, I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram, but I was recently posting stuff from the documentary Tyson, which Ryan here actually recommended for me to watch.
Yeah, awesome.
And with Cuz D'Amato, what we were doing was we were watching how when Tyson was not even a man, he was still a boy. He was under 18. Cuz was telling him all the time, "You're amazing. You're the greatest. You're gonna be a champion one day." And Mike Tyson was young. He's like, Mike Tyson said, "I thought this guy was a queer." He's like, "I didn't really understand this guy because he was just telling me all these shit about myself, all this positive stuff, and I was a thug from the streets. He used to rob people and everything on his spare time, and he didn't really understand it. But what Cuz was doing was getting his mind right. And for all you boxing enthusiasts out there, you guys know the story of Mike Tyson. He went to the top, youngest heavyweight champion, but as soon as Cuz died, Mike, his career, no offense to the legend, but it kind of took a dive, and he talks about that too in the documentary Tyson that came out in 2008, I believe it was.
Yeah, Mike Tyson also talks about how he defeats guys before they even start fighting just with the stare down. Yeah. And a lot of guys don't realize how huge mindset is. And a lot of guys grow up not even knowing how much internal burdens and weight they have in them. And I've had guys tell me this. It's like if you grow up as a fish in a dirty water, you don't really realize how dirty that water is. You may not even be aware that it's dirty. Mm-hmm. But then when you clean it out, it's kind of like the relation between our conscious and subconscious mind. I look at it as you're in an ocean, you can swim or go anywhere you want to go. If you have a lot of trauma inside of you holding you back, it's like you're swimming with cement shoes. But if you had a Cus D'Amato, just amazing father figure for Mike Tyson, that's what he was. Yeah. If you got a guy like that giving you good programs when you're very young, good parents doing that, especially a father figure type, it's like you're in the ocean and you're in a speedboat. Now, swimming with the cement shoes or the speedboat, either way, your conscious mind decides which direction you're going to swim in, right? But the amount to where you're empowered and can do things largely depends on these subconscious programs. So it wasn't a mistake that my income went way up after I got myself right. I started cleaning my place, making it nicer. It wasn't a mistake that I found you. And I'm like, you know what? I had, gone not totally MGTOW, but semi-MGTOW for 2 or 3 years.
I want to talk about that. The dark place that this kind of mental abuse took you to MGTOW, and kind of like that just dark and kind of hateful place it put you in. And I just want to expand on that.
It wasn't hateful, but it was bitter. There's a little bitterness there. Yeah.
Could you explain that? Like, how did you find MGTOW, and then how did you decide that just wasn't the thing that you wanted?
Yeah, so I cured my depression, and then I went semi-MGTOW for 2 or 3 years, and part of it was when I cured my depression, I learned I don't need anyone outside of me to give me validation, to make me feel good about myself. I have the power to do that all by myself. And before that, I was like typical beta thirst guy. I didn't know I could give myself all the love and approval I wanted. Shout out to Tommy Bahama and also Rick Torres from earlier. All the other guys, love you all from the group. Anyways, I didn't know I could provide my own validation and approval. So I was looking for it from women because that's what I never got from my mom. And my subconscious is like, well, the first ideal woman in my life, I couldn't get it from. Oh, here's another ideal woman. Let's try and get validation from her. And that's what a lot of guys do. And that's why a lot of men have beta thirst. You got these beta orbiters. desperate for attention and validation from a woman. And then it opens guys up to being vulnerable to women taking advantage of them, women just walking all over them, not giving the men what they want, or giving men just enough, or giving men sex and attention and then trapping that guy in a marriage, and then their abusive BPD, NPD side comes out, and then they zero out the guy. Well, I learned, I don't even need attention from a woman to feel good about myself. And that is true. To this day, I believe that's true. So that was one of the reasons I went semi-MGTOW. But another thing is I just started watching a lot of MGTOW YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And if you expose yourself to negativity day in, day out, well, guess what? Even though I cleaned up a lot of my subconscious, not all of it, even now there's stuff I'm working on, but it's just, small. And that's just part of being human. But if you're constantly exposing yourself to negativity, it's going to affect you negatively. And so I kind of fell in that trap, combined with the fact that, hey, I'm doing happy and good. What do I need a woman more for? But let me tell you, after 2 or 3 years of that, it was like, you know what? I'm not being honest with myself, because I freaking love women. I may not like the crap they pull, but damn, I sure like, being sexual with them. I'm sexual as a man. I love, there's a lot of good things women have to offer.
Yeah.
And so I finally said, you know what? I can't ignore this anymore. Me being on my path of recovery means I got to be honest with myself. I got to be connected and honest to what's inside of me. And being successful with women is part of being a man. So I actually saw you, Jonathan. I saw you on Rule Zero. And you were talking about your childhood abuse back then. And I had 2 thoughts come into mind, 2 impressions. Number one was, this guy's for real. This guy's legit. He just had an authenticity. And number 2, you know what? I think I can cure his shit. So I reached out to you, and, the rest is history.
Yeah. And, I personally, I had some struggling personal beliefs, and I'm just going to let the audience know transparently. So I had a lot of poverty mindset beliefs because, I grew up poor, and then I was able to, it was funny because, there have been multiple points in my life where I was making what someone would consider decent money. Like, in Hawaii, I was making $10,000 a month. And then in 2017, I was doing pretty well by running the remote Airbnb and the sales job at the recruitment industry, and, doing well. And then BLM took off. And then even in the midst of BLM, body language mastery, not Black Lives Matter, in the midst of body language mastery, there was still like this nagging thought that like just around the corner was impending financial doom. Like it was coming.
That's common from your type of upbringing. An unstable upbringing, a lot of guys are like that. They're like, I feel like everything's going to go south and just fall apart in the next month or 2 or whenever. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just totally irrational. And so I did some sessions with Ryan, and I'm not going to go into the details of my finances, but I had the best year of my life after I had that. And this year is already shaping up to completely smash last year.
Yeah, you're doing really well.
And I have to say, like, I feel that, like, a psychological weight was lifted from me, and I felt like something was gone. Another thing, and, Ryan and I just did a hypnotherapy session 2 weeks ago, and I didn't realize that, like, in my heart, like, I still had some bitterness and hatred towards my aunt for all the abuse I had as a child. And here I am as a 34-year-old man holding on to some shit that happened to me when I was, 10, 11, 12 years old. And it's like still fucking with me.
It'll stay with you till you die unless you clear it one way or another, unless you clear it. Yeah.
And what Ryan told me is when you hold on to bitterness like that, he said these words really rang true. It's like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies.
Exactly.
And so, again, I'm not saying to, like, forgive all the people who've trespassed against you and just be an idiot. I say forgive, don't forget, and be smart moving into the future. But to hold bitterness and harbor these negative feelings, it's not gonna. If your goal overall in life is success, even that being a sexual marketplace, that is something that's gonna hold you back. And what a lot of guys don't seem to realize is that they have a lot of damage and hurt inside of them that was given to them as a child. And the thing is, when you're raised, the best situation to raise a child is in a happy, healthy home with a man and a woman as mother and father, in a safe and protective, financially secure environment to raise the child. I'm not saying you got to be super rich, whatever, but there has to be positivity. You have to build up the self-esteem of the child. You have to not abuse them, and you got to raise them up. And unfortunately, with America, the way things are happening with divorce and the statistics
don't get that.
with single mother households and all these things, there is this is the real global pandemic that's happening in America, and it is guys and girls honestly being raised in broken households, and broken households produce broken people, which inevitably creates a broken society. And a lot of people can agree.
And then they riot in the streets.
Right, and a lot of people can agree right now with America that everybody kind of, I think, instinctively knows that something is wrong on just like a human instinct kind of level. Like, nobody walks around America like, yeah, everything's perfectly jolly old fine.
Yeah, so I just posted my first YouTube video. Interestingly enough, I talk about something called toxic shame, which relates back to childhood. I talk about victim mindset. I call it the great plague of our time, not COVID, just like what you said. And it really is, when we have this stuff inside of us, you may not even, a lot of guys may not even feel like they're connecting to this stuff inside of them, that they feel it, but then they have all this crap in their life. Like, they have huge approach anxiety with women. They have, alcohol problems, or they just, zone out with masturbation and porn all the time. Things like that. When we uncover that, we get to the root of something that's called toxic shame. And that's really just the feeling of, I'm not good enough. I'm somehow defective. I can't get what I want. I can't connect with others because I see others look like they're having a great time. I'm not. I feel lonely inside. So that's the number one thing to clear. And what you see now in the streets with all these people rioting, you see a lot of victim mindset. You see a lot of people refusing to take ownership for their own trauma. And, really, a lot of them just don't know how. That's why I'm doing what I do. But if one form of dealing with your inner trauma and your inner shame is just saying, listen, someone else has to take care of it. I'm powerless. And that's a victim attitude. And then that's the expectation of everyone around them needs to make this injustice right. The problem with that is you give away all your power. You have to be disempowered, and you have to stay a victim to perpetuate that. And then you're just going downhill. And then you end up with no job, rioting in the streets,
Yeah. And thank you to Vinny P with the $10 super chat. He says, if people suffer from any trauma, I would recommend Ryan's service. Well worth the money. I want to touch on that real quick. A lot of my clients
coming on. I appreciate it, guys.
So I would say that, with what's happening right now, obviously it's very how can I say, it's something related to the African American community. And if we look at the numbers, single motherhood and poverty in the African American community, those numbers are above average. And these are the recipes for creating dysfunctional members of society. It has nothing to do with race, because it happened to me, and I'm not African American. Happened to you, you're white, right? So
lots of people have oppression regardless of color.
And if you are raised in this kind of tumultuous, unstable environment, you're going to come out damaged and broken. And just so you guys know, I want to talk real quick about just hypnotherapy in general. Just so you guys know, right? Um, there is a long, long list of. I don't want to even use celebrities because there's a lot of celebrities who use hypnotherapy, but there's a lot of performance-based athletes that are celebrities that have used hypnotherapy over the years. And just a quick list: Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, Jack Nicklaus, Phil Jackson, Dexter Jackson, Shaquille O'Neal, Kevin McBride, the last guy to defeat Mike Tyson in the end when Mike Tyson was at the tail end of his career. The list goes on and on. The late Kobe Bryant. I mean, there are so many things that hypnosis can use to optimize you. And I'm a guy as well that this helped me with my mental mind state. And it really just helped me with also my finances. And it helped me with so much. A lot of us, again, like Ryan said, we grow up fish swimming in murky water. We don't even realize how murky the water is. And when I talked to Ryan, I initially talked to Ryan because he left a comment giving me some business advice about the business, and I wrote him back. I said, hey, in the comments, I was like, what's up, man? Like, let's connect and talk. We talked. I did a phenomenal job coaching you to help you get women, I would say.
Yeah, dude. And that's what I had my own blockages about meeting women, being successful with women. You gave me the coaching. I also removed those blockages just working on myself, hypnotherapy on myself, listening to these audios. I will give a Ryan Christensen, what's up, my man? Yeah. Ryan had it. I can't talk about clients. He's telling you. Here's the thing is you do need the knowledge. You do need the coaching people like you give. And that was a huge part of just blowing my mind, the type of women I could get with. I'm 46 now. And, I had a date with a 20-year-old last week off of Bumble, and she was cute. She wasn't like, some whale. She was a hot 20-year-old yoga girl, But
and my last girlfriend was 18, hot, willing.
Yeah, and it's just like, what the hell? I can do this? What?
Yeah.
But your subconscious mind can be your greatest enemy, but man, if you get your stuff right, it can be your greatest ally.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I just want to give a plug to what Jonathan does. The great thing about what Jonathan does is he has assembled a team of, these generals, and he's assembled a complete solution for men who want to empower themselves. I have clients all the time telling me how great your body language mastery webinars are, because there's certain things a man needs to flourish. First, he needs a tribe. Okay. He needs like-minded men who encourage that guy. He feels he belongs, and then he can just move forward with that support, and he can bounce stuff off these guys. In your Facebook group, guys are doing that all the time. I mean, there's, 10, 20 posts a day on there. I mean, it's a lot, and it's guys giving each other that support, guys who get each other, giving each other that support. But it's not only that. If you're a guy, you have some sort of issue, one of these generals is going to be able to help you out. So there's mentorship. There's the skill set that Jonathan brings in with body language mastery, with game, with fashion, with just so many, online game, and now you're pretty damn good marketer, pretty successful in business. So you can help guys with that too. And then if guys have mental blockages, they don't feel good about themselves, maybe they're struggling with approach anxiety, depression, just whatever. There's not just one hypnotherapist, there's two. There's me and Ryan Christensen, and we clear blocks like that all day, every day. I mean, just this stuff is super mind-blowing. And I'll tell you what, if you want to get an alpha male mindset, just learn to approve of, love, and accept yourself unequivocally. Because if you have that inside in your core, which is, I have amazing value, regardless of what anyone else does or says. You don't need anyone else for validation. Now you are zero fucks given. Mm-hmm. Become a zero fucks given guy. You learn how to give yourself all the validation and approval you need. And then you have the power and the inner strength. You feel good enough to motivated to go out and get all this good stuff in life. Because your average guy has potential to do a lot of cool stuff, but he doesn't, because he doesn't have this support. Instead, we have a society with dysfunctional families where society, look at this, man, I just love all these guys posting. And I appreciate this, guys. I really do. We have society craps all over guys. We have dysfunctional families. So guys have all this trauma, feeling like they can't really be men. That's the blue pill mindset, is I can't really be who I am as a man. I have to cater to women. And men don't even realize that's what's happening, but that is what the blue pill is. I have to be a cog in the machine for society. I can't get what I want. I have to kind of mold what I want and say, well, that's not acceptable. I'm going to do this other thing, be a cog in society, be a hero, helping, the women out, et cetera, et cetera. But when you get healthy on the inside, you will get the alpha male mindset. You're approaching. I had a guy tell me after one session, he said, I have a horrible time approaching women. I said, scale of 1 to 10, what's it at? Or I said, scale 1 to 100. He says 100. I don't even know if he had approached any women, or he may have approached a few. After one session, he said it went from 100 to a 20. And so when you learn to give yourself all this at a core level, you get that trauma out, you get this stuff in you, and then you combine it with the stuff you offer, Jonathan. Guys get mentors, guys get all the knowledge, but they get the ongoing support. I mean, dude, you work so freaking hard on it's 4 hours a day for 3 weeks, 4 times out of the year. Is that right?
I am High Commander of the Hot Dude Army with pride, brother.
And you're High Commander because you work your ass off, man. You work for it. You do the work. So for any of you guys out there that kind of feel lost, kind of feel like your life isn't going where it wants to be, don't feel good about yourself, not kicking ass in life, not getting the women, not getting the fitness. I mean, we got super jacked fitness guys. We got special forces guys. We got every guy you need in these webinars to help you out, to get you unstuck. And and dude, we are seeing so many dudes in this group just taking off. Yeah. I see guys come in just kind of wussy, don't have their crap together. I mean, I had that to a point, because even though I fixed my inner world, I was still beta. I'm, still a work in progress. I'm still a work in progress even today, but I see guys coming in and then 6 months later, they're just killing it in life. Or other guys 6 months later, okay, they're not killing it yet, but they've improved a ton. They're way closer to being super successful. They are getting some of that success now. Yeah. This is a total solution. What Jonathan has, total solution for men.
And going back to, because you said you did traditional therapy as well.
Yeah.
And this is why I didn't pursue my master's in psychology or my PsyD or anything, because I realized that a big part of the system is to fill you with pharmaceutical drugs.
Yeah.
And not really get down to the core of the problem, but just drug you up and kind of zombify you. Instead of taking you from depression to happiness, they just take you from depression to like a zero state.
Yeah.
If you get off the drugs, you go back to depression.
They help you just enough that you're willing to pay money for it, because the alternative is you're really crappy.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be really crappy, so these guys take me to just sort of crappy, and I got to pay, ongoing for therapy. I got to pay ongoing for these, drugs.
Yeah.
It's just good enough to justify people paying for it. But I'm not a medical professional. I got to give that disclaimer. I don't cure any disease per se. I don't, prescribe anything.
I think you cured the disease of simpery.
Yeah, I cured it myself and others. And for those of you guys that are suffering right now, one thing you want to understand is John and I both had hard upbringings. I think, I can't speak 100% for Jonathan, but aren't there times in your life where you just felt like a loser?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
feeling like a total loser. And there's guys out there right now that feel like losers. That feel like they're not getting ahead. They're struggling, depression, anxiety, whatever, addiction, whatever. And you may be thinking to yourself, I've had such a tough life. Life isn't fair, and you're bitter because of that. But let me tell you, when you recover from this, when you take a hold of things, and when you get on the other side of trauma, is strength and wisdom, a type of strength and wisdom that someone who has not been in the trenches, who has not been through the trauma, cannot get. John and I are able to connect with these men because we have been there, man. We have been there and we got to the other side. And so the trauma you guys are in now, when you get on the other side of that trauma, men, you're going to have wisdom and knowledge and an inner strength through going through that process that a guy who hasn't been challenged will never have. There is no greatness without adversity.
Yeah.
Adversity, it's like a slingshot, okay? Let's say you want to go this way, but you see yourself getting pulled back this way through trauma and adversity. Well, that trauma and adversity motivates some men and is the fuel that launches them forward out of that slingshot.
Yep.
Yeah, so just wait until you get on the other side. You guys who are struggling, wait until you get on the other side, because your trauma now is a gift. It's going to give you some insights you would never have any other way. But you do have to get on the other side. You have to move forward. One foot in front of the other.
Yeah, I agree.
You got the solution. Sorry.
You're good. You're good. D-Money says, depressed, your body needs deep rest. Now, I do agree with you to an extent, but
a little bit
I can tell you, even though when I was 29, best shape of my life, jacked, running through a bunch of girls, you know, there were still points in my life. I mean, physically I was great. Emotionally, I was great. Financially, I was great. But there were still like these lingering insecurities that I had and that I just knew were there. And I tried to fix them in my own way. But, you know, you can put so many Band-Aids on a wound, but at the end of the day, if the wound under these Band-Aids doesn't heal, then the Band-Aids, they're just gonna cover up, and they're gonna kind of supplement what's really there. One thing that I did, and because I'm, you know, obviously I have the psychology background, I knew that you could brainwash yourself. I knew that you could brainwash yourself one way, you could brainwash yourself the other way.
Absolutely.
I created a YouTube video on a private account, and I watched this video every day as soon as I woke up and as soon as I went to sleep. And when I was a 25-year-old man, I made it after I quit my job, and I was like, fuck this corporate bullshit. Fuck this life. Everybody's going to tell me. I'm going to make this video, and I'm going to watch this video every day, and I'm going to brainwash myself into making this my reality. Now, looking back on that video 7 years later, almost everything in that video has come true, and it's quite honestly, it's pretty terrifying. And I put it on a dummy account, and I just let it be, and it actually accumulated like 31,000 views. Not a single video on this channel has 31,000 views.
I watched that a few times, by the way.
Yeah, and you have to understand. Scott Adams says this in his book at How to Fail at Everything and Still Win Bigly. Our brain is just a moist, programmable computer.
Absolutely.
And, you know, if we could talk like computer talk for a second, it doesn't matter if you have an i9 processor, if you have 64 gigs of RAM, you have an RTX 2080 video card, you have a 4 terabyte, 8 terabyte solid state drive. If you're running Windows 95, all of that outside exterior stuff, it's fantastic, but you're not optimized.
And you got viruses.
There's tons of things that can happen to you.
Yeah, bad programs, get rid of them.
So, yeah, I knew people were going to ask this. People want to see the video. The video is on. I mean, I don't know. The video is like. Let me see. Let me check how long the video is. It's relatively long. It's 6 minutes and 23 seconds. I mean, I will play it, but only if you guys really, really want to see it. Press a 1 in the chat if you really want to see it. And
You know it's gonna happen now.
it's a little shy for me to show it, but I mean, at the end of the day, I really believe that this programming and this mindset stuff, I really believe it does work. I do believe that, I'm an eternal optimist. I live and die by the words of Henry Ford that said, whether you think you can or think you cannot,
You're right.
you are right.
Yeah.
And, I'd
like to explain one thing about our untapped potential. And once you get your beliefs right, how powerful your subconscious is. Mm-hmm. Your subconscious mind processes 1,000 times as much per second as your conscious mind. Mm-hmm. It's a supercomputer. And that's why if it's filled with bad programs, it'll hold you back. But if it's filled with good programs, it's going to process things. If you have a healthy subconscious, remove all your blocks, and you believe you're going to be wealthy inside. You just believe that at your core, like deep down, you believe that. Your subconscious is now going to work for you, processing 1,000 times as much as your conscious mind to make you wealthy. That's how it works. I remember about 18, 19 years ago, I knew a guy, I thought he was a total loser. And I remember one time he came out to visit me and stay with me for a couple of weeks while he was pitching something to venture capitalists. And to me, the guy was just a total train wreck, a total mess up. But the thing that stood out is, to me at that time, was this guy is 100% absolutely convinced he's going to be rich. And I was thinking, what an idiot. This guy's a train wreck.
Yeah.
Multimillionaire today.
Yep.
And I set an income goal for myself that I thought was really high with my business. And I reached that income goal. And then I'm like, I should have believed I could have made more, because I would have been making more. If I had that belief, I would have made more. I hit that goal. Same thing with you. You hit your goals because we believe it. If that's what you get down, you put that subconscious to work for you. It's going to be prodding you to do things you don't even realize how it's prodding you to do things.
When I was in 2019 getting ready to just like really dedicating my life towards making this shit work, I'm not even joking, I used to write down an affirmation 10 times a day until I would get cramps in my hand.
And that all helps.
And
you still want to clear the core trauma, but all that other stuff helps too. And I just posted a YouTube video that talks about toxic shame and hypnotherapy and stuff, but I am putting up future videos to talk about all that, Jonathan, because it all is really, really important.
Yeah. And how do you feel? Are you okay to review the video?
Which video you mean?
The one video I watched for myself that I've created.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, guys. So I'm gonna play the video, and you guys can just see what I did. I'm actually gonna take us off the screen and fully just show you. This is the exact video I've made. I made it. Looks like I made it. Jesus Christ! I made it in 2012. Yeah, this was after I quit my job and I decided I was going to come to Japan. And here, let me get us off the screen. And just, guys, let me know in the chat. We're probably going to get demonetized because it has copyrighted music. But it's 6 minutes, 22 seconds. And honestly, if you stay, you stay. If you don't, I mean, whatever. I don't care. This is literally what I did. I'm being very honest and open with you guys about how I got to where I am. If you believe that where I am is something admirable and respectful and whatever, this is a big part of it here. Just let me know if you guys can hear the sound.
Right.
So,
Just get a jet ski, then you'll have accomplished everything. That's the only thing you need, man.
So yeah, like I said, I made that video in the summer of 2012, and the amount of stuff that has come true in that video. Now, that video is not 100% come true, and I'm not saying
Get the jet
that
ski.
I'm not saying that um you know that this is going to work for everybody, but this is the path I took. And sure, you can say luck is whatever part of it, but I don't believe that it is. I believe that this did work for me. And the fact that the video organically got 31,000 views on its own, I think that shows something of its appeal. And I mean, I just look back at it as a 34-year-old man now. I made that video. So I was 26 when I made that video. And I just really believed that I could make this stuff come true. Because if you look at some of the stuff at the beginning, I did not have a lot of love for myself. I did struggle with daily negative thoughts. Now negativity is so foreign to me, I am actually repulsed by it. The moment somebody brings negativity into my life, I immediately start to consider getting them out of my life permanently. I want an echo chamber of positivity, and I believe that what you put into your mind determines your reality. And this is why I'm a big I'm a very anti-black pill content.
Yeah.
Even if it is true, I don't want to see it. You need to protect your mind, and you need to protect your perception. Look at all the people who watch the news. You know, I don't even watch the news. They're miserable. They're unhappy. These people who,
sorry, go ahead.
You know, that there's a lot to unpack there, but I mean, you have to protect your mind and what goes into your perception. And I noticed, like, when I played the video, like we dropped by like 40 viewers, and I don't really care, because that's life. Like, at the end of the day, we can sit here and we could say, this is what I did to be where I am. This is how I did it. And there's people out there who have such damaged subconscious belief systems that they're going to think nothing going to help them. And honestly, this is why I believe a lot of guys in the black pill, they're really fucked up and damaged in real life. You know, we've been talking to the
tons of trauma in the black pill. And there's actually a world famous therapist named Marissa Peer, and she has a quote I really love, which is, negativity is a luxury you cannot afford.
Yeah.
And there was actually something really interesting with how you did this video. Is every statement, a few statements were past tense, but every statement was about the now. I am wealthy, as in now, like it's already happened. And there's this TED Talk, I have to find it again and do like a comment video on it. But there's this therapist talking about how they have done time and time and time again, they have done studies to show what a lot of people do is they say, when I achieve these things, then I'll be happy and successful. Yeah. But that's not what works. What works, studies have proven this time and time again, you get the mindset now of success, you get the mindset now of happiness, and that empowers you to achieve those things.
Yeah.
So you don't say, the good thing about that video is you didn't say, I will be successful, I will be happy. You don't use future tense. You say, I am that way now. And I have an audio that guys listen to. I call it my masculine empowerment audio, and it has them visualize things. Visualization extremely important, because when we dream, it's all visual. That's our subconscious processing stuff. And our subconscious also has no sense of time. Our subconscious is now only. So the way you did things actually vibes with how the subconscious processes things. The audio I do takes you into hypnosis, so it goes directly into the subconscious. We push that conscious mind to the side because the conscious mind acts as a filter, so a lot of stuff will get through, but most will not.
Yeah.
So that's why I, do hypnotherapy. It amps up the effectiveness. But what you did there, you get the mindset first. Success follows.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to say thank you to Nicholas Stred. This is MLD's bringing classic content every time. Thank you so much for that super chat. And our brother Charles in the house said, completely offended there were no people of color or fat women in your video. There was an Asian girl. I'm not into black girls, but there was an Asian girl. She's a person of color, I believe, right? A lot of people are asking me how to find you at, because it sounds like a lot of people are interested in some consultations. You can find Ryan at innermasculine.com. This is actually his coming out debut as a content creator and a guy. Like, you guys know, I'm really strict on who I allow into the Hot Dude Army, the community, Body Language Mastery. And Ryan and I have actually been talking on Skype for over a year now. Ryan actually came to Hot Dude Con in Phoenix. We met each other. We had some nice food together. Great guy. I'm really good at sniffing bullshit, and there was only one person at Hot Dude Con Phoenix I have had my suspicions about, and they were confirmed. But Ryan is a great guy, and I'm very, very
thanks, man.
Very careful on who I stamp with my approval. Be whatever you deem my approval, whether you deem it as worthy or not. I just with my discernment, I truly stand by what Ryan is doing, and because I personally went through it. Like we do the sessions over Skype. I turn off all the lights. I lay down in a pitch black room, and it's crazy because when you do the hypnosis session, like our last one was about an hour, and honestly, it felt like 15 minutes. And sometimes
what we cleared is gone now, right?
Absolutely, it's crazy. It's
permanent improvement, one session.
Crazy how I just feel like a psychological weight was taken off of me. And honestly, like, some of you guys, this may not be resonating with you, but you have to ask yourself, because I went and I talked to Myron Gaines, and I actually talked to John from Bulldog Mindset, because they're very, very super accomplished men, turbo alpha males.
Yeah.
And I talked to them, and I asked them both. I say, hey, how was your childhood? Did you have any trauma? Anybody, dad ever beat your fucking ass or anything like that? And both of them were like, no, I had perfectly good, like, and Myron talks about it all the time. If you look at Myron, he's a very well-adjusted man. It's same as John from Bulldog Mindset. And some of this may, if you're a guy who's raised healthily and you're just kind of like, socially retarded, this stuff may think like this is fucking woo-woo garbage. But for the guys who have been through a lot of emotional turmoil, or the abusive single mom growing up, the abusive father Kelvin mentioned in the chat, like, how about dealing with an abusive father? That's true, man. You could have an abusive aunt like I did. It doesn't matter, because if the child
get it out, put in the good stuff.
Just if
like you had good parents, you have to do the work.
Yeah,
you can do that.
And the thing is, like, if you leave this untouched, you will never achieve your true top potential. And like I said, this is stuff that I went through, and that I 100% support with Ryan here. And the thing is, I believe that a lot of men suffer in silence, and they just don't mention this. And we're not saying to sit around and be a pity party and let's cry about everything, but there's a logical solution to this, and that's what I believe is necessary. I mean, you'd give your presentation in the Body Language Mastery webinars, and tons of men reached out to you.
Yeah.
Have you had a single complaint?
What?
Have you had a single complaint? Or everybody's like, I need a refund or anything like that?
I've never had anyone ask for a refund. I would say, I used to think it was only 2/3. It's really about 80% of the guys. I have post-session interviews, and probably, 3/4, 80% of the guys are just kind of in shock after the session. They're like, what just happened? And I mean it in a good way. And sometimes it takes them like a few days to really process how they're different.
Yeah.
But I mean, some guys need more work, because like I said, they dissociate, and maybe 10% of the guys come to me have a lot of trauma. Like, I have guys come to me that saw people murdered when they were a kid, like family members and stuff. I mean, those guys, this will work on them, but their trauma is extreme and it's going to take longer. But like, I'd say about 80% of the guys are kind of in shock. I had one guy who We store trauma in our body. Our nervous system goes throughout our entire body. And one guy, as I was in a session with him releasing trauma, I kept hearing this loud cracking. It's like but it was sharper than that. And I was like, what the hell is that? I asked him after the session, and he said, while we were releasing trauma and hypnotherapy, my ligaments kept popping and cracking. Trauma was literally just causing all his ligaments to pop and crack as it was coming out of him. It was crazy. I mean, yeah, it is powerful stuff.
It is. And a lot of people, I think we're coming to that forefront as humans. We're realizing like the mind really is powerful. And that's the thing. Like if you like, this is why I'm really, really protective of what I consume in regards to negativity with music.
Me too.
This is why I stopped watching that television show, Black Mirror. This is why I don't watch horror movies. Because when I consume this stuff, I feel very bad. I don't feel good. It generates negative emotions, and negative emotions are not going to give you a positive life. And it's like Disney as that sounds. I'm telling you, the big thing that changed my life was in 2019. I had enough. And I said, fuck it. Anybody who brings an ounce of negativity into my life, I'm throwing them out. I'm absolutely throwing them right the fuck out, and they're not allowed back in. And 2019 was my breakthrough year.
Yeah, man.
And to this day, this is why when I talk to people, I'm coaching Josh from eLift program and all this stuff. And, even when I just have conversations with Josh, he says like, I'm going to try. And I'm like, no, Josh, you are.
Which Josh, is this the Josh, one of the generals, the eLift program?
Him.
Yeah. Okay.
And I tell him, I say, listen, anybody who brings negativity into your life, look, I love my mom to death. God bless her. She's a wonderful person, right? She raised me after all, right? And but even if she gives me a smidgen of negativity, say, hey, Mom, listen, it's been great talking with you. I got to go. You have a wonderful day. We'll talk another time. And I end the call. Just over. Same thing with Miss MLD. If she acts a damn fool, just mute, done, disappear. Okay.
They probably start behaving better too.
It's the same thing. It's positive reinforcement, man. It's 1,000%. Then somebody said this in the chat. I want you to take a stab at this if you don't mind. Shonen Spirit Beast says the subconscious has no sense of time, huh?
Yeah. So what I mean by that, this is a little bit of a deep dive, but when we're kids, when you're born as a baby, you have a little bit of instinct. That's it. And so then what happens is your brain is just soaking up everything and forming belief systems and forming, core belief systems. Who am I? What are women like? What are men like? And it's forming all these programs that then subconsciously run the rest of our life. And it runs the rest of our life by, in certain situations, we're given certain emotions. So, Arnold Schwarzenegger, his subconscious program, he was interviewed about weightlifting. His subconscious feeling about weightlifting was pumping was better than coming. That's what he said. He felt great about weightlifting. Other people that don't have a subconscious program that weightlifting is great, they may hate it, but he loved it. So it's emotion and what we want and what we desire, anxieties, all of that comes from our subconscious. So a lot of these subconscious programs form in our childhood. And then what happens is I talk about this on my YouTube video. I just put up my first YouTube video. It's like 25 minutes. It goes over a lot of stuff. And it talks about this. And it talks about how our subconscious mind is constantly scanning everything around us as we go through life and relating it back to these childhood programs. So if we have painful beliefs from our childhood, like I'm not good enough, I'm somehow defective, I'm different than others, I'm a freak or just I'm a loser, whatever. It's buried down, and a lot of times we're not even thinking about it. But what happens is our subconscious is scanning everything around us as we go through life. And when it finds something that matches to what happened when we were a kid that triggers this childhood program, it brings up that childhood program and that trauma just like it happened yesterday. Because our subconscious has no sense of time. These programs are there and they will stay with you till the day you die. And they've actually done studies and they found out that our brain actually doesn't care as much about the future, like the distant future. It'll care about near-term future, but any like distant future, our mind doesn't really care that much about it. It cares about the now and maybe what's going to happen in the next few minutes. But as far as our subconscious is concerned, what happened in our childhood decades ago, it's like it happened yesterday. There's really only the now. And that's why if just think about what you struggle with. It's like, man, whenever I'm in this situation, I get this anxiety. Whenever I'm in this situation, I feel really insecure or whatever. 99.9% chance, if not 100% chance. These feelings now can be very intense. It's the same intensity as something that happened to you when you were a kid that freaked you out and formed this trauma. The intensity of what you felt as a kid and what you feel now, exact when you get triggered by what's happening now that relates back to what happened when you were a kid, exact same intensity. Your subconscious doesn't care. Yeah.
And that's, that's a lot of people are mentioning in the chat about the news. Even Taj here is saying, Taj is a young man. He's 22. He says you can't watch the news if you can't emotionally disassociate with it. Mainstream media is toxic. It is so this is another red pill.
Yeah, even like Fox News. It's like, well, this is better news. It's like, still, yeah. I started watching Fox News because of COVID. It got me in a funk.
Yep.
And then
look at all the people.
That's the reason I was in a funk, because I was watching all this news about COVID. It didn't get me in a huge funk, but it did affect me. So it's like, man, I can't watch even news if it's accurate. If it's too much negativity, it's like, I gotta be really careful, man. It will affect you. Yeah.
And that's the thing, 100%. I really want to double down on that, because if you take a look at the people who were spazzing out the most during the coronavirus shit, I knew it was garbage from day one. And now where are we? Right?
Yeah.
Nobody gives a fuck anymore, and we're in June, right?
Yeah. Now they're in the street, just
right. But all the people that were glued to Fox News, they were glued to CNN, glued to MSNBC. The WHO report said this, and this report said that, and I saw this on social media, and I saw people. I mean, Ryan, people were literally fighting over toilet paper in the supermarkets because of what they were seeing on the television.
Yeah, I know.
It's all cancer.
And they're like, oh, I saw on TV everyone's taking the toilet paper. I better get some. And then it's really out. Yeah.
So, I mean, talking about that, and okay, this is something else. I want to talk about something else as well. This is
why what you and I do is so great, because we're not focused on the victimization. We're not focused on the negativity. We are focused on solutions, and our solutions work. Our solutions are effective. And so I think what I do is awesome and great, but we really need a Jonathan MLD, because you have leadership, you have knowledge, you have these generals. There's someone in your group that's going to have a solution for some other guy in the group, and you got the ongoing support. It really is the complete package. If a guy wants to turn his life around, get with Jonathan, and then if he puts you with me or any one of the other generals, you're going to get sorted out. And this is solutions oriented. This is empower. This is what makes you I love all the red pill guys on Rule Zero. Well, what makes you different is you're providing men with not just theory, actual, practical, applied solutions. Yeah. That's the type of positivity I want.
Right. And that's they all provide it independently in their own ways with their Patreons and Rich's 1% group and all that.
Yeah, I'm not speaking down on them at all. I think they're all good.
Just disclaimer. Don't throw me off of Rule Zero, please.
No, we're all awesome guys, but you have put together a solution that applies red pill concepts really well. And yeah, you're right. Rich does work on applying that, and these other men in Rule Zero, they are coaching guys and are making differences in their life. Yeah. But you've assembled an army.
Yep, the hot dude army. And I want to talk about
that a tribe guys can belong to.
Somebody wrote this as well, and I want to talk about this. Shonen Spirit Beast against this. So if I think about past abuse, it's like I'm experiencing it in the present. Yes.
Yes. So let me comment on that, because this is good. What I do when guys come in to sessions with me is we start talking about past trauma or whatever, and I say, okay, think about this thing that really messed you up as a child. What are you feeling there? Where do you feel this in your body? Connect to that trauma. They're like, and unless they're dissociating, which I then have to work on and get around that, they're like, oh, I feel it here. And that's the thing. It's like, well, this happened 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 40, depending on their age. You still feel it inside you now when you think about that childhood trauma, because as far as your subconscious is, it's in there and it just stays in there until you clear it. It doesn't matter how long it happened ago. Yeah. Now there are guys where they're not connected to the inside. A big part of what I do is connect you to what's inside of you, because that connects you to your gut instinct, and gut instinct is incredibly useful. Your gut, man, my gut has never guided me wrong. Once I realized what my gut is, intuition is different from emotions. Once I kind of was able to separate those out, my gut tells me crazy stuff where my mind is like, that's not right. My gut's always right. So we get you connected to the inside. Yeah, Wraith, absolutely, Wraith. Wraith, one of the generals, super good guy, NLP genius. Sorry, I just got distracted.
You're all good.
So yeah, what's inside of us? If guys are dissociating, then what I'll do is I will ask them what they're currently struggling with and how they feel about that. And then we go back to the childhood, and then they kind of notice, oh, what I'm feeling now here is the same emotion I feel that I'm now connecting to when I go back to my childhood when this other thing happened. And it's the current stuff is being triggered by this past program. It's just all that, whether you realize it or not, whether you're connecting to it or not. Yeah, you know, most guys most guys, I can very quickly get them to connect to this unless they've had extreme trauma. They just shut down stuff. But and then I have to work on it. But that stuff is still down there. Guys still connect to it, and they're like, man, I didn't even realize that was 30 years ago. I still feel the trauma now that you're taking me back. It's still there, whether you realize it or not. It's still there affecting you.
Yeah, and I'll say this too, and I used to be very guilty of this. Because negativity and negative thinking and negative thought patterns are extremely addictive, and a lot of people don't talk about that.
Yeah, it's called peptide addiction.
And I used to do something. Ryan, if you want to check the private chat, you can change your name to innermasculine.com so the guys can see. But the one bad thing I used to do was I would actually catch myself, and I want you to push a 1 in the chat, honestly, if you do this. It's a bad habit that, honestly, it comes up probably 5-10% of the time now, but it used to happen all the time. But I would just, on random occasions, just imagine negative and bad situations unfolding in my life. I would just imagine them. Like I'm walking and a car's going to hit me, or, you know, I'm going to get a disease or something.
Happen bad, yeah. That happens within trauma in your upbringing, an unstable upbringing. That program's in there, so you're thinking something bad's going to. I have guys come to me with that, and it's because when you were a child, you didn't feel safe. Now, as an adult, you still don't feel safe. You feel like something's going to go wrong. We clear that. We cleared that for you, right?
Yeah, and it's drastically go down. But this was brought to my attention when I was 25, and I didn't realize how negative I am. And again, the average person, they don't realize that they're a fish swimming in murky water. And when you guys have these negative thoughts, you have to stop them. You have to catch yourself doing it. It's just called
mindfulness.
It's a negative behavior called rumination. And a lot of people ruminate on negative thoughts. So you have to stop it and immediately start thinking of stuff that's going to make you feel good. And I would stop it, and I would force the most ridiculous positive thought in my head. And I had this ridiculous thought that would say, there's going to be a Brinks truck. For you guys that are not in America, Brinks is a company that carries around money in the armored truck. And I would say there's a Brinks truck falling out of the sky, and all the money was falling out of the Brinks truck in a perfectly legal manner into my pocket perfectly. And a lot of people would say, oh my dude, that's fucking crazy. That would never happen. It's just as crazy as you sitting there theoretically coming up with negative situations in your head. But again, everybody's like, America has become like anti-confidence, like almost like if you become a successful person, people just think like, oh, he's a scammer or he's a bad guy and he doesn't deserve it. Oh, he's a douchebag, right? Anything that's like a man becoming a positive, good person, a good, maximized version of himself, they want to belittle and shit on.
But when you get there, they still tend to praise you once you get there.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's one thing. If you guys catch yourselves doing that, is you do not dwell on negativity and you do not dwell on negative thoughts and create these theoretical negative situations. That is so detrimental to you, and people do that on a daily basis all the time, and you're poisoning the well yourself. It's so unbelievably just crazy. Yeah, and again, Tommy Bahama says, damn, John, that's crazy. I really thought I was the only one that did that. No, we are programmed. We were programmed to do that by society.
Yeah.
And we are the biggest Cold War that's happening right now in humanity is a fight for your mind, a fight for your perception. You know, like you said,
taking away our power.
Because like, again, like Mike Tyson said in the documentary that you recommended to me, once you defeat a fighter mentally, steroids, perfect discipline, training, nothing is going to fucking fix that guy. A good example is when Conor McGregor fought Jose Aldo. Conor McGregor was tormenting Jose Aldo the whole press tour, taking the belt from him, telling him you're going to fucking lose, you're going to lose. If you watch Pumping Iron, everybody thinks Arnold Schwarzenegger is a saint, but he used to bully Lou Ferrigno. And he would, I think he hit his hearing. He hit his hearing aids at one point or something. He used to bully Lou Ferrigno because he was deaf.
He was psychologically messing with them to win, so Arnold would have an edge in the competition. That's what Arnold did. Mm-hmm. Mind games.
All of the greats,
their mind.
They understand the power of the mind, and Ryan does as well. And that's why I think I was able to, like, I'm gonna get all red pill and say hack the Matrix, but it's a very beautiful thing once you unlock your mind, and the potential really is endless. It's not like woo-woo garbage. Like I said, do research on your own. Look at all people who've been through hypnotherapy and who have, you can, brainwashing is such a bad word. It has like a bad stigma to it, but you can positively brainwash yourself because the biology of the brain is just the more things you do, the more repetition you have, your brain actually creates neural pathways that are more efficient the more you do something. That's why, when you're trying to do a new habit, like go to the gym, adhere to a diet, approach girls, play a video game, whatever, it's harder because your brain's creating these new pathways. But once you do it again and again and again, because a lot of people just give up, but once you persist and keep doing it again and again and again, you get better at it and become second nature.
Yeah. There's also, for guys that want to learn more about the importance of mindset, there's a channel on YouTube called Impact Theory, and the guy, Tom Bilyeu, who does it, he's a guy that used to be kind of like your prototypical kind of loser guy going nowhere in life. Now he runs a $1 billion company, billion with a B, and he constantly has super successful guys on his show, men and women, that are just at the top of the game. They talk about the importance of mindset all the time on his show. Yeah. I would say the majority of the time, almost every show, they're talking about mindset with these super successful guys that are, and men and women, and a lot of them are saying mindset's everything. I meditate, I do hypnotherapy, I have daily stuff, and it's made a huge difference in my life. Just watch that channel. They talk about mindset all the time. These super multi-billionaire hedge fund managers are on there. They've had Jewel on there. They have certain celebrities, but just super high performing people. They talk about mindset all the time. And these are the guys that are slaying it at life. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's something to it.
And Elliot Chapo is he hits the nail really hardcore on the head right now. If you guys take the red pill and you understand the fight for your perception, right? Social media is becoming too toxic as well. From time to time, I'll do a digital detox, and it's always massively refreshing to the mind. Look at everybody now, and I'm going to talk about the Black Lives Matter thing. Where were all these? Let's just use the white liberals who are using this, right? Where were all these people championing for rights 3 months ago, 3 years ago? But all of a sudden, social media talks about it, mainstream media talks about it. Now everybody wants to talk about it. What were these same people doing 3 months ago? Social distancing, coronavirus.
Because they were told to.
They are being controlled. They are literally being mentally controlled. These are mentally weak people, and they're everywhere. That's why guys like us, we're anomalies. We stand out because, again, the fact that you're even watching content like this shows me that you're somewhat aware, or at least curious. But you have to fully unplug from all aspects of the matrix. Like I said, what I do with my business here is it starts with removing the neediness and the illusion of like, oh, love is just magic and mystery and seduction and I just got lucky. Lets you take control of your life by knowing there's a system and there's a way, there's an applied science to seduction, and if you do it, you can get sex. And once you start seeing the truth in that, you start seeing the truth in everything. And a lot of this is going to sound really intense, but you start seeing a lot of lies unfold in your life, and you start living
100%.
On a whole new plane.
And when you connect to your inside, where you get really connected to your gut and intuition, that'll tell you all sorts of stuff is off.
Yeah.
So just get connected that clear. And when you clear the trauma, you can connect to it better, and you can get that supercomputer, your subconscious, working for you.
Viper Black says, you two have made me truly realize how I've been destroying myself with previous thoughts of my past that I thought I forgot about it. That's a mild form of trauma right there.
You go back, you go back to the original trauma when you're a child. When I'm in hypnotherapy, the reason I do hypnotherapy, you stay conscious in hypnotherapy, but we take this conscious mind, we move it to the side so we can deal directly on the subconscious. We go back and we clear this trauma. We use symbolic imagery.
Yep.
I call it the dream language. It's a language your subconscious understands, visual imagery. That's how we dream. And we literally reprogram your subconscious to just send all that out. And then we replace it with good, positive beliefs. And what happens is, say, for example, with Jonathan, you said you used to feel like there was a disaster around the corner, things were going to fall apart.
Yeah.
We clear that. All of a sudden, you don't feel that way anymore. Yeah. Or maybe you just don't feel, someone just doesn't feel that good about themselves. And all the times, all right, Viper Black, appreciate you, man. Keep on the path, Viper Black. When you learn this, when I first came across this, I'm like, I found a key to the universe. I found a key to unlock the universe and get all the good stuff in it. And that's how I really felt when I got this stuff. And let me tell you, once you learn these tools, things just get better and better and better. You clear one thing, you're like, man, I had this thing I was struggling with for decades. It's gone now. Maybe it takes a few sessions, but it goes way quicker than with psychotherapy.
Yeah.
And I have audio recordings I give to guys. They can listen to those as much as they want and keep doing the work. When I cleared my manic depression, all I had was audios. I had an audio of a woman speaking. Mm-hmm. It guided me through stuff. And so you clear one thing, like maybe like, oh, I feel something, everything's going to fall apart in my life. Something bad's going to happen. You clear that. And then that's fantastic. But then you notice, man, but yeah, I'm still really anxious with approaching women. Yeah. Well, guess what? You get to the core of that, you clear that, and then you start kicking ass. I did that on myself. That's last year, 45 years old, hooking up with multiple women in the early 20s, 18, 19, 23, etc.
Beautiful girls too. No pigs. These girls are nice.
Yeah. And Jonathan, you gave me the knowledge, but I still had to clear these internal blocks. And it really is both. You know, you do need the knowledge, and you want to find your tribe of men who can mentor you and give you ongoing support, but you also got to clear this stuff inside. So then I didn't have these blocks to approaching women. I didn't feel this dread and anxiety anymore. And so I started slaying it with that. And, you know, I approached a lot of women. I got a lot of rejection. I crashed and burned, honestly, on about 90% of my dates, where I wouldn't get a second date, wouldn't get anywhere with them. But I just kept at it. I didn't have these blocks anymore holding me back. And yeah, I had some pretty awesome success and more success, you know, is I feel like I can regularly pull 7s and 8s now.
Yeah.
You know, in their 20s.
Yep.
You know, and you know, again, Jonathan, huge role you had in that. But you can do this. So after that, it's like, okay, I cleared these 2 other things. Well, geez, I think about getting ahead in my career, and I'm just not motivated in my job or whatever. You know, you figure what that's about, you clear that internally, and then your income doubles, you know, get rid of pot. And you can use the same process. I don't just do sessions for guys. I teach them a mindset, and I teach them a skill that they can then use on themselves and just clear thing after thing after thing. And it just gets better and better and better. You get less depressed, you get more hopeful, you get rid of this anxiety, that anxiety, and it's just up, 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 up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanna say to Viper,
really
Viper Black, you know, you say you guys bring tears to my eyes for the first time in years. I mean, you have to realize that, I look, you guys have to understand, like, part of what I do as Modern Life Dating, as John from Modern Life Dating, obviously part of it is an act. I mean, for fucking Christ's sake, I'm dressed like Sergeant Slaughter right now. But underneath this, on the other side, which a lot of guys see in Body Language Mastery, is a guy who is very transparent about what's going on in his life. And
sure,
you are valid as a man, and I know what it feels like to live in America, and society is constantly vilifying you just for being alive, just for being a man. But I'm here to tell you that there are logical solutions to these problems. That's what men always search for, logical solutions. A lot of you guys watching here, because you have problems in your life that you want to have solutions for. This is a logical solution, and it does work.
This
and
stuff works for sure.
If you come with an open mind and, you know, do what we tell you to do, you will see an improvement in your life without a shadow of a doubt. I really believe that Ryan and I are on the forefront of something huge, a movement, if you will, to heal the human race, heal men's minds. Because this could work for women too, but I'm a man, so I relate to other men and help men the best, right? But I just want to let you know, Viper Black, that you're valid as a human. Your past and all that shit that happened to you, you can heal yourself to this day. And a lot of guys that I notice, like, I know guys, you know, whatever the insecurity might have, 6 foot tall, handsome, good looking guy.
They can have insecurities, man, deep down.
Makes money, everything. But his mom told him he was a wretched loser when he was young, or his dad told him he was a fucking punk boy, a loser, whatever. And he's carrying that even into his 20s and 30s. And Roberto.
And then women walk all over that guy.
And Roberto,
that guy's throwing it, but then he has this weak spot because of that trauma. And I've met guys like that, super jacked, wealthy, killing it in life, good looking, good with women, but then they'll get with an abusive woman that knows their blind spot and then just wrecks their life, man. Yeah. And we have seen that. And
that's what Roberto's saying here in the chat. He says, living with trauma is like driving a McLaren with a governor. And, you know, it's
or with diesel gas in the tank.
Right. A governor, for you guys who know, it like limits the speed. And a McLaren is a sports car in America that's super, like, scarily fast.
Car, Ferrari type. Yeah.
So, you know, thanks, James of Carlos. There's nothing wrong with dressing like Sergeant Slaughter. I am High Commander of the Hot Dude Army, after all. But, you know, guys, this is what we offer. This is another example of a general in the Hot Dude Army. We are trying our best. No, I take that back. We are doing the best job known to us.
Men are changing with this.
To cure you, okay? you have like I realized this.
Lots and lots of men are changing with this.
I was talking to Myron Gaines the other day, and like I'm not a dating coach, like I am, but I'm a life improvement coach because I just realized like I tell you guys to get better. I don't say like say this magic word, and even though you're 350 pounds, you live with your mom, and you're balding, and you don't take care of yourself, you have acne and everything, that you're going to get these girls. I say, no, lose the weight, get some fashion, learn how to talk to women, get some social skills, get out of your mom's fucking house, improve yourself. That's what we're doing. So if you have like, if you're going to come in here like a whack job and you're like a cokehead and like you're just a maniac and you're going to, we're not going to, maybe Ryan could heal you, but I mean, you're going to take a lot of work. But if you're just like the average guy and you're kind of suffering a little bit silently, you're comfortably numb, we can probably help you out. And again, the power of having a positive network of men digitally to supplement what you can't get in the real life. Because if you're watching stuff like this, you know, you probably go out into the world and think like, Jesus Christ, everybody is a fucking brainwashed psychopath who is just, you know, orange man bad NPC. And that right there is isolating and can make you feel like you're crazy. I met a lot of guys in Hot Dude Con and consultations who talk to me like, I just want to talk to you and make sure I'm not a fucking psychopath. And you're not. Like, we're just at the forefront of something. There is a big awakening occurring, and I believe that we're at the forefront of it.
Jonathan, you have formed a tribe of like-minded men pursuing excellence, and we see so many guys in your group improving their life. We're just, you're watching me, I'm watching you, we're watching all the guys in their group. So many, not everyone, because not everyone's willing to do the work, but a lot of dudes in this group. We see the progress. We see guys, come and they look unkempt. They're not slaying it at life. And then like 6 months later, it's like, who is this guy? Wow, this guy's like a freaking stud now. And they're starting businesses. They're investing. They're getting job skills so that they can get a higher income. They're having more success with women. I mean, this is a movement because this is, I told you, remember last year, Jonathan, I told you this is the beginning of a movement.
Yeah.
And it is, because this is a group of guys getting together, and it's all the tools you need to empower yourself, and it works, and we're seeing it working because we're just seeing dozens of guys improving their lives massively. And I have people
hundreds
all the time, and they're like, I'm so grateful for these webinars, the sense of belonging I get from these dudes. Mm-hmm. And that just empowers you further, man. I mean, getting the tribe, getting the mentors, getting your inner world straight, getting the knowledge and the know-how, man, it's a complete package, man. And guys are changing their lives massively in this group. It really does feel like a movement because it's so powerful, and it is growing.
Yep. And I just want to say, not dozens. It's literally hundreds of dudes.
Yeah.
Hundreds of dudes are changing their fucking lives. There's over 650 enrollments in Body Language Mastery as of this point. And in the last week of July, we're going to do the Hot Dude Alliance, which is when every previous Body Language Mastery student, we all come together on Zoom, we talk, we communicate, we link up in real life, and there's nothing more important than having those real life connections.
Yeah. This is an ongoing thing. It isn't a 1 week Tony Robbins fest and then you're done. Jonathan, 3 weeks. Once a quarter throughout the year, 4 hours a day, stop in whenever you want. And then you got your pandemic pickup. Yep. You know, I do sessions for people. I give them stuff they can listen to, an ongoing maintenance program. So we get you straight, but you got that ongoing support.
Yep. Going
higher and higher, getting better and better. It's not easy, but it's a great fucking ride, man. Let me tell you.
Yes. So, guys, that's going to do it for us today. Guys, go over to innermasculine.com. Check out Ryan. We're going to be back here tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be back here for Free Consultation Friday, where I'm going to be answering everybody's questions. It's Miss MLD's birthday tomorrow, and I'm sacrificing 2 to 3 hours out of the day to handle your guys' questions. So call on in. The number is going to be up and on the screen. And real quick, I got a new website rolling for Body Language Mastery. It's still modernlifedating.com/body language. And then you're just going to scroll at the bottom of all this and put your best email address in right here. Click this notify me button, and you will be added to the waiting list. Again, June 25th is when it launches. You're going to get 9 weeks of coaching, the whole 9 yards. Until then, you guys get out there. You make money. You make muscles. You learn game. You keep your mind clean. Stay positive. Stop.
You have the power. Just claim it. Get on that path, man.
Get rid of all the negative nonsense in your life, and we will catch you next time. Until then, peace out.
See you guys.